like the world or Battle of Los Angeles and shit like that. That was a real fucking thing that happened. The pictures of Battle Los Angeles is crazy.
What happened exactly?
There's
Battle
this,
Los Angeles?
there's this big object in the sky, and we're shooting machine guns at it. We
What year
got
was this?
spotlights. This is like in the 50s, maybe?
I remember seeing it. There's this photo.
Look at this shit.
Wow.
So we're putting fucking
they have
rounds on
these
this fucking thing.
Spotlights on this thing in the sky.
Look at the rounds.
Right, but what is it? What is it that they see? That's weird. That all you can see is spotlights.
1947. It says in the corner.
Boy, that looks like a fucking flying saucer.
Look at
That
in
one?
the middle,
Yeah.
and look at, but those things around it, those are fucking like Ma Deuce rounds. Like they're shooting at this fucking thing. They don't know what it is.
Well, you know that there's a famous story from the Soviet Union that these guys shot at a UFO and it turned them into stone.
Is it
And
true?
I don't know. The CIA investigated it. Here, I'll send it to you, Jamie, because I sent it to Jeremy Corbell. And that's what I asked him.
Fuck, I should have had links, Jamie. God damn it.
Well, this is the only link I have. It's
CIA UFO turned into stone.
You can find that stuff.
You're
you
definitely on
find
a
it?
watch list, Jamie.
yeah. So there's literally like a CIA document about it. That these guys supposedly shot at a low-flying spaceship. Look at it. According to the KGB materials, a quite low-flying spaceship in the shape of a saucer appeared above a military unit that was conducting routine training maneuvers. For unknown reasons, somebody unexpectedly launched a surface-to-air missile and hit the UFO. It fell to Earth not far away, and 5 short humanoids with large heads and large black eyes emerged from it. It is stated in the testimonies by the 2 soldiers who remained alive that after freeing themselves from the debris, the aliens came close together and then merged into a single object that acquired a spherical shape. That object began to buzz and hiss sharply and then became brilliant white. In a few seconds, the spheres grew much bigger and exploded by flaring up with an extremely bright light. At that very instant, 23 soldiers who had watched the phenomenon turned into stone poles.
Poles.
Yeah, only 2 soldiers who stood in the shade and were less exposed to the luminous explosion survived.
No shit.
The KGB report goes on to say that the remains of the UFO and the petrified soldiers were transferred to a secret scientific research institution near Moscow. Specialists assume that a source of energy that is still unknown to Earthlings instantly changed the structure of the soldiers' living organisms, having transformed it into a substance whose molecular composition is no different from that of limestone. Oh my God.
It turned them into limestone.
Turned them literally into limestone.
And this is a CIA
Yeah.
paperwork?
Well, this is, they're reading from a KGB file, right? So it's just go to the very bottom of that again, Jamie, the very bottom of that. It says one of the things that says the CIA representative stated, if the KGB file corresponds to reality, this is an extremely menacing case. The aliens possess such weapons and technology that go beyond all our assumptions. They can stand up for themselves if attacked. But the thing is, they're saying if the file corresponds to reality, that means there's a question.
If this is real, they're tough.
Yeah, they can fuck with you.
What year was this released?
I don't know.
Source is a newspaper.
1991?
93.
93.
So there's all these disclosures that are going on right now, and they're very, very fascinating because it's hard to know what's true and what's not true. But it's interesting that they're talking about it. But no one showed me anything yet. I'm waiting for them to show me things. I've seen some things already, like those videos that they took off the FLIR video and the Go Fast video, and these videos of these things where these fighter pilots are trying to track this thing, and it's like zipping across the sky, and they're like, what the fuck is that? I've seen a few of those. I've talked to 2 different fighter pilots that have had encounters.
And they're all in.
They're all in. I think there's a real thing going on. What that real thing is what's confusing to me. I think some of it has to be ours. I think some of it has to be like super advanced drone technology that we don't want everyone knowing about. And it's probably some black ops shit. But I don't think that's all of it. I think it's also possible that we've been visited. It just makes sense. It sounds so stupid. That's part of the problem of even talking about it, because it sounds dumb, because there's no evidence. So you have to believe in something where there's no evidence of it other than like some blurry photographs. But then when you just think about the size of the universe itself and the fact that we exist here on this planet. We're real. We know we're real.
What if it's fucking a Martha or whatever, and they're from fucking the center of the earth, and the holes in the poles or whatever, north and south, and that's where the holes are, and that's why Google Maps blocks it all out and all that shit.
Well, that would be a great theory before cell phones. Like that.
But it's not there. You still can't see it.
Yeah, but you can with satellites. And also flight patterns. Like the people that...
Copy and paste, by the way.
You know who doesn't think the world is flat? Pilots.
True. Or anyone who's been in an airplane.
They fly around, these motherfuckers. They know where they have to go. They know the flight patterns.
You look at it.
Yeah, you look at it. Yeah. Also, by the way, everything's round. Go out in the fucking sky and look at Mars, look at Jupiter, get a telescope, look at all the stars. Notice how everything's round? Seems like there's a pattern going on. Yeah. Why would this be different?
This ass is round.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so weird, man. I don't know. And you're talking about the oh shit moment. I think we've been so like normalized to it, like E.T., all this shit, growing up watching this shit, to where it's like, yeah, no shit. Everyone, no matter what the surveys say or anything, everyone thinks there's like something going on.
Everyone, yeah.
There's
a few people that still are very incredulous. Elon, believe it or not, is incredulous. He's famously said, if the aliens are real, they sure are subtle.
They're very subtle. Bigfoot's subtle, too. Doesn't mean he's not an interdimensional being that could teleport at will.
He knows where the cameras are.
He's an omniscient being.
He shuts down trail
Bigfoot
cams.
is just Jesus Christ, full beard all over.
Right. He's just Woods Jesus. Yeah, that's what he is.
Y'all seen the Woods
He's
Jesus?
A mythical creature that's looking out for humanity, our brothers and sisters. They need our help.
He's a benevolent, kind being. He's got a big heart.
Bro, the biggest scam. You and I have some shared interests, clearly, in the world of UFOs, but I want to talk. Most people know of you because of Bigelow Aerospace. They know that you're this billionaire investor and you're a very successful businessman, but you have a deep fascination with UFOs.
Yeah, sure do.
How did this all get started?
Back when when I was about 3 years old, which would be about 1947, and actually of May of that year, my grandparents had a very close encounter that was dramatic. And they were taking an evening drive in the late afternoon up into the mountains and coming on back down to Las Vegas. And they saw what appeared to be at first an airplane on fire. And the object became closer and closer to them, and they pulled off to the side of the road. And at one point, then it filled up the windshield, and they thought they were going to die. And at the last second, it shot off and disappeared. And I learned of this story when I was probably 10 years old, and because I was 3 at the time, and my mother had told me this story. So I approached my grandfather, and he wouldn't talk about it. Now, after all these years, like 7 years have gone by, because I was intrigued with it. And so I went to my grandmother, and she only would say a few words, but she wouldn't talk. So I got the story from my mom, and my grandfather had to sit on the side of the road there in the car for a while to recompose himself, and because they thought they were going to die. And then he finally was able to drive on back to Las Vegas. So that was the beginning for me.
Did he ever describe what you said? It looked like a plane on fire, but like, what was the shape of it as it got closer?
I don't recall any kind of shape that my mother described. I don't recall that.
But they just knew it wasn't a plane. They knew it was something.
That's right.
Something
That's right.
crazy.
So in the family, the family had an event, and I lived right next door to my grandparents, and the family had an event that kind of started things at that date. For me, other personal things came later, but for the family, that was a big deal.
So this was, you said 47?
47.
And 47 was the time of the Roswell crash. 47 was a time there was a lot of UFO activity being observed worldwide. And the speculation is that this had to do with the nuclear bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and all the tests that the United States had done and Russia had done, and that there was a lot of interest in obviously in that. Well, actually, Russia hadn't dropped any bombs by that time, right?
Right.
It was after that, but
Right.
that there was interest in our species by extraterrestrials because they let, oh, these crazy assholes are detonating nukes. Like, let's go take a look at them.
Right. Well, you had so-called Foo Fighters during the war, these lights that were following bombers, and the tail gunners were the ones that saw them most often, of course, and that happened through the war, and then of course Roswell. But before that was Ken Arnold, right? In about June-ish, and then in July 8th was Roswell.
And there's a direct uptick, though, from the Trinity experiments, right?
I think I gather my feeling simply is that without any kind of other evidence or proof that was a huge stimulus. Yeah.
So this was around that time, and you had heard about this as a part of, family discussions.
Right.
And so that sort of ignited the fire initially.
Yeah. And I started asking my friends, as I say, when I was about 10, have you any reports in your family of anything? And by golly, a couple of my close friends told me things that they had never told me before. So, that wasn't necessarily an exclusive event, is what I'm saying. Other people in Las Vegas had seen things at close proximity as well.
Now, your relationship to this is obviously something that you've carried for so long. It's been an obsession of yours for so long.
Yeah, yeah.
It started with this, but what personal experiences, if any, have you had?
Well, when I was probably 7 or 8, I used to have what I chalked up all my life to just being silly dreams. And I had maybe 5 or 6 of these dreams, and I could never make sense of them. And I would be laying in bed on my side, and typical dream, always the same. There would be 3 short somethings in a kind of monk robe, and so I couldn't see any face, couldn't see any appendages. And these 3 whatevers were standing there, and they were not too far from my eye level as far as the height and so forth.
So these like child size?
Yeah. And so there was nothing I was an avid comic book reader, but there was nothing in the whole genre of comic books that related to that, or movies. And we didn't have television in Las Vegas till 53 or 54. And even after that, it was terrible broadcasting, at first. But so it made no sense to me. And so over my lifetime, I never mentioned it to anybody, including my wife. It's funny how you keep things secret and just kind of for no good reason. Maybe I would be embarrassed to talk about it. But I finally thought, well, maybe it was just dreams. Maybe it was something else. And so that was a first event personally that I had at that time in the subject.
When did you start to connect the idea of these tiny people or human-like things with extraterrestrials?
Well, years later, when I began to start my process as a researcher and as a student in the subject, and began to talk with people who made it their business to be experts in abductions, and the more I got into the field and sat writing out questions for the researcher, for the therapist who would be asking the questions, and I'd be sitting there watching the process. And just over time, I thought, well, maybe there was something more to it, but I'm better off not knowing anything, so I'll just block it off and forget about it.
Yeah, we talked last night about John Mack a little bit, the Harvard.
A great guy.
Yeah, and he did a lot of these sort of hypnotic regression sessions with people where they describe very similar scenarios.
A multitude of different situations. The abduction phenomena was very proliferate in the population, it seemed like. Even we did a survey called the Roper Poll, and we repeated it 3 times so that the margin of error was really reduced to like 1.5%. And abduction researchers came up with the 10 questions, and so we distributed that, and the conclusion was a fairly relatively sizable percentage of the population had some kind of experiences, according to them, according to the researchers, and according to the poll. I am not qualified to speak to the accuracy of whether the questions were that relevant to the conclusions or not, but that's what they said. And I had in my own research found people that I put them through a regression, not personally, but I found a hypnotherapist that could do that, and I found a number of people just here, there, scattered around, maybe somebody in my own staff, and they would come up with these stories and these events.
One of the criticisms of John Mack and hypnotic regression in general is that the idea that you can put a memory into someone's head, that you could suggest things and you could create false memories. And this was something that I've read in the criticism of his work, that this style of hypnotic regression and bringing up these very specific scenarios to a bunch of different people, you can sort of help create, especially in people that are easily influenced or people that are open to suggestion, you could put these false memories in their head. And so, especially when you're dealing with something as fantastic as a
right.
UFO or
right.
alien abduction or visitation or something like that.
Right. Oh, that's definitely possible. There's also something called screen memory, but dealing with the power of suggestion. That's absolutely true. But my experience was with different hypnotherapists, they went out of their way. In fact, maybe if they did make a suggestion, it was just the opposite. They might say, okay, you're on board this craft. Where's the lighting coming from? Is it coming from the corner or of the room that you're in? Well, there were no corners, and they'd be corrected right away by the person being hypnotized. And so they went just the opposite direction on purpose to make suggestions to maybe coax the person to come that direction, and they wouldn't do it. The person wouldn't do it. Now, screen memory is different. Supposedly, if somebody has a very close encounter with supposedly somebody that's ET, you leave that the memory turns out to be entirely different, and that's put into you consciously, and you recall something entirely different than what actually happened. Maybe you saw two deer on the road, or
right.
something of that sort, or maybe there were owls or whatever. So that's what's purported to be.
Just to give you an example, in my book I talk about Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill in 1939 wrote an essay about the fact that there could be life on other planets, around other stars, and we should search for it. Now, he didn't have a chance to publish it because he became prime minister and then had to fight the Second World War against the Nazi regime. So much money was wasted in that war. If that money was allocated to the search for extraterrestrial life, the way that Churchill envisioned it before the war, we might have known the answer by now. And what I'm saying is, this is just an example for how non-intelligent we are. We are not working together towards a better future. We're fighting each other, and that's the answer to your question, that we might not live very long.
But you're saying this as you work at Harvard and as you're writing books on extraterrestrial objects.
Right.
I don't necessarily agree with you. I think there are massive problems with people, but I think we are far better than the human beings that lived 2,000 years ago in that regard. And I think that we will probably be looking back on this day and age and mocking how stupid we are when we are more advanced 2,000 years
I
from
really
today.
hope so, and that's what I'm
I
trying
think we're
to.
moving in that direction.
Well, that's what I'm trying to promote, but I'm not necessarily
I think
as
our
optimistic
cake-
as you are.
I think our cake is still in the oven.
Let's
That's what
hope
I
so.
think. That's what
I really want that future. But, I'm doing my best, but you can see from the pushback,
Yes.
to which I don't have access because I'm not, I don't have an account on the social media.
Congratulations again for that. I think that's. I think we're moving. I think there's conflict, but I think for whatever reason, the way human beings operate, we oftentimes need conflict in order to make improvements.
Right.
We need a yin and a yang. We need a give and a pull. If we don't have that, we get complacent.
Why
get
can't we understand the best path forward without, it's just like using a GPS system and it says recalculating.
Yes.
Every time we have a crisis, recalculating. So we recalculate our next move based on all the mistakes we've made. Why can't we be smart in the first place?
I think we have biological limitations that are based on our ancestry. And our
Yes,
ancestry is
I agree
filled
with
with tribalism and
agree with
chaos, and we're primates. I mean, that's
agree with
part of the problem. And I think that our issue with racism is the same issue that we have when we have religious discrimination or cultural discrimination. It's tribalism.
I agree.
And we are, it's wired into our DNA.
Now, my problem is, why couldn't science, given that, there are billions of Earth-Sun systems within just the Milky Way galaxy, and then 1 trillion galaxies like the Milky Way in the observable volume of the universe. Why can't the mainstream of astronomy simply say, conservatively, just assuming the most conservative, not speculative assumption. Conservatively, we are at the middle of the road, kind of life. It's very likely that we're not unique and special. And let's just look for evidence, search for it. Why should there be a taboo on discussing this subject? That makes no sense. For example, astronomers are now contemplating new telescopes of the future that will cost billions of dollars to taxpayers, okay? That would search for oxygen in the atmospheres of other planets around other stars, because oxygen could be indicative of life, microbial life. I say it will never be conclusive, such a search, even if it costs billions of dollars, because the Earth, for 2 billion years, the first 2 billion years of the Earth's history, didn't have much oxygen in its atmosphere. There were microbes, but the oxygen level was quite low. And then it suddenly rose after 2 billion years, half of its life. So not finding oxygen doesn't mean there is no life. And then if you find oxygen, it can be produced by many natural processes like breaking water molecules or other things. So it will never be conclusive. How can you make a conclusive statement if you find industrial pollution in the same atmosphere? You just search for CFCs. These are the molecules produced by refrigerating systems, by industries. If you find evidence for that, there is no way that nature can make these very complex molecules naturally. So I say to the mainstream of astronomy, use the same instruments and motivate them by this question of, can we detect industrial pollution? And I wrote a paper about it. And the thing is, the public is extremely interested in this question. And the public funds science. So how can the scientific community shy away from a question that it can address with existing technology, when the public is very interested in that? How can there be a taboo on this question? That's the thing that really puzzles me. Now, I wasn't working in this area until the last 5 years or so. I was working in studying black holes, studying the universe, and I came across a number of ideas that led me into this rabbit hole, into this subject. Now I'm about to publish this book at a popular level, but also a textbook 6 months later that describes all the science that we have related to the search for life outside Earth, far from Earth. And I'm just amazed that it's not part of the mainstream. It's really surprising to me, and I think it's inappropriate because you look at physics, theoretical physics, there are lots of speculative ideas in it. Like people talk about extra dimensions, the multiverse, supersymmetry, superstring theory. All of these have no evidence to their credit. There is no experimental test, not even thought about, like in the next decade, the next 2 decades. But these ideas are part of the mainstream. So you see physicists giving each other awards and doing intellectual gymnastics, just demonstrating that they're smart. And to me, that's an unhealthy situation in physics. You can do it in mathematics where it's completely detached from any application to reality. But in physics, we are supposed to describe reality. And yet you have these intellectual. So it's as if the physics community, some parts of it, decided that the most important task is to demonstrate that you're smart. And that is really strange to me because, we're supposed to understand nature, not show that we are smart.
If aliens are real, I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm probably like 90% convinced. But if they are real, I leave in the room for bullshit. It's like, Jamie, get a picture of your shirt.
If they're
Show
real.
everybody the shirt you're wearing, why we're talking about that. It's a UFO. It says, can they see it? Believe that. That's a dope shirt. Exactly.
That's a saucer, if I've ever seen one.
I think if they're here, they're not going to let us. That's what I think.
Well, that's what.
I think they're going to swoop in and go, hey.
Well, that's.
Fuck.
I'm 25, right? I can't speak on anything, but just looking from past experience, and there's like drawings, like
Right.
even in the Mona Lisa, there's a weird thing or whatever in the
It looks like a
background
flying
and shit.
saucer.
But there's a spike. It's a spike in because it's getting pretty weird here.
The spike, they think, it's hard to tell because sometimes when people talk about UFOs, a bunch of other people hallucinate or lie. Like there's a lot of that.
Right.
So every time there's a real legit UFO,
Right.
you get a bunch of nut cases who just want to tell crazy shit
Right.
about being taken
And
aboard
I've seen one.
spaceships.
I mean,
you've seen
I
a
never.
UFO?
Yeah.
What'd you see? What'd it look like?
I was probably 16. I was in upstate New York, and it would just stay there. So let me precursor this. My aunt and uncle were very strict, and we had to go to bed at a very strict deadline, probably 10 p.m. And I was looking out the window with my cousin, and it's just a light that just stays there and then just fucking goes off. I mean, it just, whew, you can't explain it.
Well, if you're 17 at the time?
16.
16? How strong is this memory when you're looking at it, when you're trying to remember it?
Medium.
Medium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
For
mean, there's
sure-
something there.
For sure something took off and did something that didn't make sense to you?
For sure. And then in Utah, I mean, there's shit happens all the time. I mean, even here in LA, I can't tell you how many times, because I used to live in Tarzana. So there was like a balcony here, and it looked kind of like, it sounds corny, but like a classic like force field. Whenever you think of a force field, and it just kind of goes like this, and it's kind of like a dome in a circular shape. And it just goes like this and goes back in.
Whoa.
In Tarzana. Looking down at the fucking city. And I'm like, how did no one else see this?
They might have.
But I was there with like fucking 4 other people, and they saw it too.
The thing about unique events is if a unique event happens and it never happens again, it's hard to remember. It's hard to be sure what you saw. It's hard. But if aliens are visiting us, like how often are they doing it? Like unique events would probably be what it would be.
Right.
It'd be like occasionally,
Right.
once every 6 months, someone sees one
Yeah.
somewhere. But they're here all the time. They probably just know how to evade detection. I mean, if something can travel here from another planet, it's going to be able to know
Yeah.
when they're being watched and when they're not being watched. That's
But
not going to be hard.
That's why you gotta wonder if it's like intentional.
I think there's enough talk about it now that we're probably going to find out what it is in our lifetime. I never would think that before. I think the government withheld information for whatever reason. Maybe they think people are scared. Maybe they think it's a threat to the national security, to have a bunch of people worried that aliens are flying around us all the
Sure.
time. There's nothing we can do about it. Maybe they had a conversation and they thought maybe it'd be better to keep people in the quiet or keep them in the dark so that they don't freak out, because there's nothing we can do about it anyway. If we just tell them that there's aliens that are visiting us all the time,
Right.
that's not going to be good. They're not going to pay attention to taxes and mortgage rates and the stock market.
You know,
They're going
they
to be
care
like,
about
holy fuck.
uranium and
there's
shit like
aliens.
that.
They're around us all the time.
Yeah.
People are going to freak out. So I think like little drops of like this, the recent one they said, where they
Yeah, what did the Pentagon just say?
Yeah,
literally
they-
like
they
2
said
fucking days ago.
They've recovered crafts that are not from this world, not made on Earth.
Not made on Earth.
yeah, not made on Earth.
Yeah.
They're basically saying we don't know what the fuck it is, but we didn't make it. That's bananas, and I think that's going to lead to more and more information coming out about it, where we're going to try to get a sense of understanding, like how long have they known this? You know, how much of like all that Roswell, New Mexico shit was
Right.
true? Like, tell
Right.
us what was going on.
And backtracking, you got to wonder if like, oh, we've been hiding this the whole time,
Yeah.
or this is the first time for real that we don't know.
This is what I like to think. I like to think that the people that are in charge at the Pentagon are patriots, and they realize it's probably better, especially when you're dealing with the United States. It's in this kind of turmoil that they're in right now. It's crazy, between racial turmoil and turmoil with the police and turmoil with people protesting in cities and blocking traffic. There's so much crazy turmoil. They'd be like, no one's even going to notice now. Just say it now. Just say, yeah, we got UFOs. Like, everything is so crazy. The news cycle of any crazy story
Right.
like this is only a few days, and then people forget.
Well, or it's just people already know, and it's just normalization. And you think about movies as just normalizing you to the idea that I can't even, like the Canadian, don't quote me on this, but a Canadian, someone in office was like, there's like 7 species of aliens in the U.S. government.
It would be crazy if it was true.
That's,
You know, Tommy Lee Jones and Will
do
Smith
y'all
were
remember
right
that?
all along.
Yeah, check that out. Please fact check that for
Is
me.
he a loony person, though?
I have no idea.
See, people can get elected and still be crazy. That's
for,
a problem.
For certain.
That's a problem. You know, just because, like, when you hear about someone having, like, a really high-profile job and they say something crazy, it doesn't mean they're not crazy. Just because they're the prime minister of some
Right.
fucking country, they could be out of their mind.
What do we got?
It would
Something
kinda be-
close to that. How close? Where is
Canada's
that?
former defense minister claims that aliens are real. Apparently, there's a humanoid-esque race of aliens called the Tall Whites living among us. Huh. It's Adam Curry.
What publication is
Adam
this?
Curry.
Is this Vice?
Yeah, it's on Vice.
Adam
There's on
Curry's
Vice.
alien.
There's a few other places. When
Well,
There's a few.
he
So
did-
it's like a real deal.
definitely said it. It seems like.
Come on.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah, that is crazy shit. The thing is that guy nuts? Like, what else does he believe in? You know, how does he feel about ghosts? Right? When you think about like an alien sighting, like if you saw an alien and then you never saw one again for the rest of your life,
Right.
it would fuck with your memory, even if the alien was real. If a saucer
Right.
emerged in front of you and then took off, that's the same thing with a ghost. Like if you saw a fucking ghost, if you walked into your basement to go get a screw for something, and you turned
Right.
and you saw an apparition of a woman
Right.
who's like staring you down. Did you
Right.
ever see that Guillermo del Toro movie about the lady who's a ghost who adopts kids?
No.
Dude, it's a dark movie. What is it called? Mother? What is it called? It's fucking creepy.
Is it?
It's creepy.
Do you like horror movies?
I love them.
Me too.
I love
I'm a
them.
dirty little bitch. I love horror movies.
I think it's called Mama.
Mama. Yes, that's it.
Oh,
It's-
is that?
Bro, it's so
that's not
creepy.
with 2 Swedish kids, right?
I don't.
Does she
remember.
have two-
This is it. This
two
is it.
sons?
Did you see this?
No.
She has 2 kids.
No, I haven't seen that.
She's well, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give the story away, but it's crazy. She finds these kids in the woods and raises them. She's a ghost, and it's a
Sure.
fucking terrifying movie.
She's a ghost. Wait,
yes. And so
is that a
people
spoiler?
adopt the kids. They find the kids. I can't tell you anymore. I can't tell you
Spoiler
anymore.
alert.
I can't tell you anymore. No, you know she's a ghost from the very beginning of the movie.
Okay, good. Yeah, this
I
is
can't-
terrifying.
Dude, it's fucking horrifying. It's a terrifying movie.
Well, you get the best of both worlds, right? You get a creepy, like, mom style, and then you get
Yes.
creepy kids, which
You
are
get
like
both.
the
You get a
double
kid.
terrifying.
I
What's
can't
the
say-
movie
I
I'm
can't say
thinking
anymore
of?
without spoiler alert in it.
There's I think it might be called, so it's two kids. It might be Swedish or like Norwegian or something.
Is it the
And-
vampire movie?
No, but
There's a vampire movie, a foreign vampire movie. Is it Let the Right One In? I think it is, or is that the American version of it?
Let the Right One In is a scary movie.
That's a scary movie, right?
Yeah.
That's a vampire movie about vampire kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing about a ghost is if you saw one and if they're just real every now and then, you saw one and it was right in front of you, you're in the woods,
Right.
you're going to walk your dog and you see some old man with no legs floating in front of you.
That's the one.
Good Night, Mommy. Is
Yeah.
Oh, good night, mommy. What's this one about?
Same. I don't know.
Same kind of deal? Oh, Jesus Christ.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Save that for later.
Did you see something good?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Some scary lady in the corner.
Check that motherfucker out. That's
Okay.
a good one.
I'm scared.
But you see him in the woods,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, yeah. If you saw some apparition in the woods and then you never saw it again for the rest of your life, it doesn't mean it wasn't real.
Right.
It just means it's really rare that happens. Like, that's a thing about a unique event. Like, imagine if you're an ant your whole fucking life.
Right.
All you've ever known is this anthill. Everybody's chilling, working every day, chopping up leaves, going out and getting popcorn or whatever shit it finds. And then one day, some person comes along like Post Malone, just stomps the fuck out of that anthill.
Sure.
Till that moment, all that thing has ever known was that anthill. Never even knew that it was possible for something to, because it's been alive for a couple of weeks. And during that couple of weeks, no one's ever stomped on the anthill. But then it happens. And then you realize that there's no pattern to these things. Anything can happen. Like, if you're a person, aliens can land. They
Yeah.
can land on the White House lawn
Yeah.
tomorrow and take over the world. And there's nothing we can do about it. Like, that could be our new normal. Okay, fuck masks. The new normal is there's alien spaceships that hover over every city and they tell you what to do. And you have to work for them now. Forever.
To the ant argument, we're smarter than ants.
Yes, we are. But we're, in comparison, probably dumber than aliens are. Like, we're
Oh,
dumber in
most-
comparison to aliens than ants are to people.
Well, that's why you like all
That's a
these
guess.
celestial sightings. Yeah, I mean, this is all spitballing here.
But it could be possible, right?
Celestial sightings documented throughout history.
Throughout history.
Hey, I just made a fire. This is dope, right? Fire's cool. But what the fuck is that? That has to be
Yeah.
God. Like, man has always looked up for
true.
answers.
It's true.
And so that's why it's a scary thing.
The
Because
idea of-
do they want to hurt us, or did we come from them?
I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible that we're a product of genetic manipulation. I don't know if we are. I know we're definitely primates.
We're just playthings, maybe.
We just look so different than every other monkey. All the other monkeys are covered in hair. This is this weird semi-hairless monkey. You know, who knows how to use electronics? Who knows how to send video through the sky?
You know the Anunnaki?
Yes.
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 If Lou was here, I got a great friend, Lou. Shout out to Lou. He would talk
just
your
talking
ear
to
off
this-
about this whole deal.
About this to an actual archaeologist yesterday.
Or the
This
Nephilim.
Bradley Garrett. Yeah, the Nephilim or the Anunnaki from planet Nibiru. All that Zachariah Sitchin stuff. You ever read those books?
No, sir.
The books are weird, man. You know what's weird? Like, there's stuff that he was saying in, like, I believe it was like the 1970s, where he was deciphering these texts. And one of the things that he said is, this is the craziest one of all. Humans were genetically engineered from lower primates, and they were used to harvest gold. and that the Anunnaki needed gold because gold is very plentiful here,
Right.
and very hard to find, very rare on their planet.
Right.
And they engineered humans to mine. That's why people love gold so much.
Right.
If you think about like the usefulness of gold,
Right.
gold isn't even remotely. It's unless you're making electronics, like gold's not the best metal. Like, why is it so valuable? Because it's
Right.
pretty. Well, it's not even the prettiest shit. Like, rubies are prettier than gold. Emeralds are prettier than gold. Why is gold so goddamn expensive?
But where does diamonds fit in?
It's a good question. Probably just someone tricked a chick into thinking it was a good move.
I was reading about like, yeah, that's what. There's like one movie. She had a diamond, and then
But what
popped off.
Let me finish what I'm saying because this is where it gets weird. They said that they needed it to hang in their atmosphere to protect them from the sun because they were losing their atmosphere. Well, we're losing our atmosphere. And one of the things that scientists have suggested is hanging reflective particles above the Earth, like putting them in orbit, all like a reflective dust in orbit, so that it would mute out some of the effects of the sun. So what they suggested, what he was saying in 1978, is what they suggested in like 2018.
right.
So when they're talking about how to fix some of the global warming issues, they were literally saying some of the stuff that was in this book that he was reading. He's deciphering these ancient Sumerian texts from 6,000 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah, I don't know. If,
I was about
I don't
to
know if
ask,
his interpretations
where
are
did
right,
he
though.
get it from?
He is just a guy who's a linguist who studies these ancient languages
Sure.
and reinterprets them, but it's very highly in dispute. That's the problem. Like you or I, we're not going to figure it out. We're not going to know who's right.
Right.
It's too complicated.
Right.
But there's a website called sitchiniswrong.com, and if you go there, it refutes all of his. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, but it's interesting to see the argument. But again, whatever the fuck was going on back then, 6,000 years ago,
Right.
whatever was going on, they were writing about some wacky shit.
Right,
man.
right.
You know, they were.
And is that the
Yeah.
shrooms or is that
Is it contact?
real? Yeah.
You know, it's not impossible. We could have easily been contacted by some other life form that's similar to us, but that's a million years advanced. We
Right.
could have been contacted all throughout history.
Right.
Yeah. And up until 1860, whatever the fuck it was, all you would have is a drawing and a story.
Well,
Imagine that.
How famous people? Who the fuck knows? But now, if you look at the last 200 years, it has accelerated like a motherfucker. And there's so much, like 200 years ago, people would look at the Bronco or anything like that and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What is that?
It happened so quick.
It's happening so quick right now. I mean, that SpaceX thing, they've already figured out how to get something to fly into the sky and then bring it back and land it.
It's insane.
Yeah. We are in a weird fucking time, and if the aliens come right now, it's probably the best time to come. We're going to be the most relaxed about it. No one's been able to work for 6 months.
I
Right?
feel like everybody's, what's...
People are scared to shake hands.
What are you going to do?
Everyone's terrified.
Are you going to say hi? Or are you
To the
gonna,
aliens?
Are you going to grab your bow?
Oh, I'm going to say hi for sure. I'm not stupid. They could come here for I'm not kicking
instant
anybody's ass.
disintegration.
Yeah, I'm not even interested in kicking someone's ass from another dimension. I just want to say hi. Tell me what's up.
Tell me what's actually
I want
good.
to have an alien on the podcast. Can you imagine?
I could call
Imagine have
Tyler
some
up.
3 foot tall, 40-pound dude with a giant bulbous head and like antenna-like fingers, and he's explaining how they traverse space
No
and time
shit.
instantaneously.
No.
Can you imagine? They're making sounds, and you interpret those sounds no matter what language you're in all over the world. You instantaneously interpret
Well, it'd
what
be
they're
through
saying.
your brain. You wouldn't be able to hear them.
Yeah, they would do it through a podcast. They'd be
They
able
would
to
do it
engineer
through-
the sounds they make.
They
And
would
we'd have
do
to
it
realize,
through-
what is this sound, and
Through
why do I
Shure
understand what he's saying?
SM78s.
They would hit you with some sound that's so complex you would understand exactly what they're saying,
Yeah.
even though you don't know the language. And everybody would be like, what in the fuck is going on? Oh my God, there's an alien on the JRE. And that's what it would be. Me talking to some alien.
To answer
They
questions
better
like UFC.
give you some more goddamn money.
I think that's the least of our problems when the aliens come. That shit is going to be wiped
Well,
off.
that's when we need gold.
Yeah, we're going to be gold miners again, folks. We're going to look for some sturdy person with a wide back. That's what's going to be
look good.
valuable. Thank you. But I mean, good enough to mine gold? I don't know. You imagine if that's life in the future? They come down, they go, you got two choices. One, we eat you. Two, you mine gold for us.
Are they eating
Stay
humans?
alive. Why not? Why wouldn't they eat us? They'd be like, listen, you guys are just protein. You're assholes.
They probably eat clouds.
Yeah.
Or like energy. They probably just eat energy.
Yeah, maybe they just exist in some sort of like a
Dude, they're probably not
redundant
even
system.
fucking material.
Probably.
They're probably just fucking ethereal.
Well, maybe they figured out a way to make life. So maybe they figured out a way how to make life where you can transfer your consciousness in some eternal mechanical thing. We're so vulnerable. And that's one of the weirder things. Like, so first we should get into what you do, because you have a very interesting theory. Tell everybody what your background is, first of all.
Yeah, all right. That does seem like a good place to start. My background is in anthropology, biological anthropology. My research mostly focuses on evolutionary anatomy, biomedicine. I've done some archaeology, various places around the world, in Montana. But the reason I'm here, I assume, because according to my friend Matt, we were butchering a mule deer, I think I shot. And I was like, yeah, I got to go to this conference. And I was like, do you want to know what it's about? He's like, nobody gives a shit about what you do other than UFOs, man. I was like, damn it, he's right. Like, I did actually used to do a lot of what I thought was cool stuff. But no, the main thing is that I've become known for advocating for this idea that UFOs and the aliens are actually our time-traveling future human descendants. I wouldn't even say as opposed to extraterrestrials, because I do think that's a component too. I oftentimes get pigeonholed. People are like, oh, you just think they're all time travelers. I don't. I actually say this all the time, but it doesn't matter. I do think there's a lot going on. But my background and the reason I approach this question this way is because there's a lot of characteristics of these aliens that look so hominin. They look just like us. And specifically what we'd expect to see in our hominin future if the same evolutionary trends continue into the future. So I kind of just tie those things together. And even the saucer-shaped craft seemingly are time machines themselves. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version.
Well, it's a theory that a lot of people have independently sort of come to, right?
Yeah,
Like,
especially recently.
and the concept of, well, if you just think about ancient man. I was watching this documentary on Neanderthals last night about this one intact Neanderthal skeleton that they found it had sort of been he had died in a cave, and there's stalagmites. Is stalactites or mites? How do you say it?
Tights are up, mites are down.
So he was essentially mineralized.
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff all over the body, and it took a long time for them to break this body.
I think I saw that. Was that on Netflix?
No, I was watching it on YouTube. Maybe originally it was on Netflix. But it was just documenting how strange this body was that they had found. But it was immensely strong, like much stronger than us. One of the interesting things was that their visual cortex, the part of the brain that would process imagery, was larger than ours, 10 to 20% larger.
Yeah.
And that so these things probably had better eyesight than us, perhaps even were able to see at night, and that this was a bigger, stronger version of a human being, like much more durable than what we are, modern 2025 Homo sapiens.
Yep.
If you just look, that's it. So that's one of them.
Cool.
Neither human nor Neanderthal.
Oh, really?
This is published in
Is this the
August.
same? This might not be the same one. This is maybe a different one. That's a weird one because what's that fucking thing on its head?
That's what it says. It's a stalactite growing out of it or something.
Wow, in a weird form. Weird.
Yeah, it's like a unicorn.
Yeah, like a
So
crest.
They do have a sagittal ridge.
Yes.
Homo erectus had one. There's an offshoot in our hominid lineage called the Paranthropus, or robust Australopithecines, and they had a full-on like gorilla style sagittal ridge. Yeah, because they were vegetarians, so they just chewed all day.
Right. So they had massive muscles to chew.
Yeah, their whole face is huge.
Wow.
Neanderthals kind of, they were just big. It's
Yeah.
just a robusticity thing, but there is evidence from Shanidar Cave in Iraq where they were using their teeth as tools. We think they were like tanning hides. They were holding the hide in their mouth and then like scraping all the nasty bits off.
Oh,
And you can see that in the tooth wear. So yeah, they were pretty badass. They were the first. I don't know. I think this is cool, but a lot of people think I'm a nerd too. They were the first to use the flake. Like for 2.8 million years, we just hit a piece of rock and like, oh, this is a cool tool. But then they figured out that if you hit the rock in just the right way, the piece that falls off makes an even better tool. It took us like 2.5.
Like
yeah,
this.
exactly.
you make an arrowhead.
And from that point on, like I got to work at a place called Chez Pinot Jonzac in southern France for a summer, and it was a Neanderthal site. And we found these. Actually, it's pretty funny because when we first got there, these tools called MTA hand axes, Mousteri and it was Schulian tradition hand axes. And there were only 8 found in all of Europe. And they said, if you guys find one of these, we'll buy you all the beer and all the cognac you can drink. So we're in the cognac region of France. And we found one like the 4th or 5th day. We went on to find 7 more over the course of that week. We doubled the number of these things in existence
Wow.
in all of Europe. And they were not lying. They bought us so many damn beers. Like archaeologists like to drink. You know,
I'm
that's,
sure.
we dig and it's boring as hell. You know,
Yeah.
it's not Indiana Jones. We're not running around banging hot chicks and flying on planes. We're like, we got a spoon and we're doing this for 8 hours. So, yeah, I actually found the last one on the last day and it was by far the worst one. Like I had to argue that it should even count as one of these. But yeah, no, it was a cool site. So yeah, they were doing well, but we were doing better. We came in and
Well,
replaced
something
them.
happened where we replaced them.
Yeah.
But the point is, as time goes on, humans today are probably the most feeble version of humans that have ever existed.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And we're the most feeble versions of people that have existed within the last century, right? Like if you go back to humans from the 1920s versus humans from the 2020s, people have way less testosterone now, way higher instances of miscarriages, way lower sperm count. You know, there's a lot of factors that are at play right now that are changing what a human is. And if you extrapolate, if you look at the future, you would naturally say, well, we're probably going to be very thin. It seems like there's at least some sort of a push to eliminate gender. Like gender seems like it's on the table as whether or not it's even necessary. There's all sorts of new technological innovations that are leading to the possibility, at least sometime in the future, of an artificial womb. There's genetic engineering with CRISPR and a lot of other different technologies that are being explored that we might be able to engineer human beings and then even create a complete individual human being without a mother, without a father. So if you thought about what that looks like in the future, like one of our problems on this planet is we all have different ideologies, different religions, come from different parts of the world. We look different. And human beings as tribal primates have a tendency to other. We other different tribes. Those are not us. We are us. Those are the enemy. We go out.
You rally around it.
But if everybody's exactly the same and we share one mind, you know, then a lot of our problems go away.
Yeah.
If we no longer have to compete for resources, we no longer have the desire to procreate and to acquire land and to be, you know, to have a territory, we eliminate a lot of our issues. And that's what these things look like. When you look at the archetypal, these iconic sort of shapes that have been on cave walls all the way up to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one thing they share is that they have no muscle, they have large heads, they have big eyes.
And they're childlike. They're very
Yeah.
paedomorphic, as we say. Yeah, you just tied together like a lot of really important points related to this theory. Aspects of why they're always interested in our gametes, why they come back and put that little machine on a man to collect semen, why they're constantly taking eggs from females and implanting fetuses, pulling them back out later. Like they're clearly focused on reproduction, gamete extraction, and one of the things that might be fueling that in the future, if these are future humans, let's just assume for a second hypothetically, is that they might be having problems directly resulting from these trends toward self-domestication, these trends toward feminization, these trends toward reduced sperm counts, which is 60% across most populations of the world, in the industrialized world, 50% across the entire world. Problems with reproduction, in vitro fertilization, exogenesis chambers might help solve some of those problems, growing the fetus outside of the body. So yeah, and like you said, what do they look like? They look like kind of a hybrid between males and females to some extent, but there's still an essence of gender. Like if you talk to Whitley Strieber, he's with this being, he says in Communion that I had a sense that she was a woman. I don't know why, but I kind of sensed that. So it's almost like the essence of the individual, the soul of the individual still retains that sort of gender identity, even though our bodies are becoming more childlike, more gender indiscriminate. I don't know. But yeah, yet another one of those ways in which we might sort of grow together as a species.
Now, when you say they are extracting sperm, like how many of these stories do you take seriously? There's a lot of these stories.
It's a great question, yeah.
There's unfortunately for any sort of spectacular public thing that's in the zeitgeist, like alien abduction, whether it's Whitley Strieber from Communion or the John Mack books, the guy from Harvard that wrote, what was it, Abduction?
Passport to the Cosmos and Abduction, yeah. 2 great books.
Great books, but these are all books about encounters, close encounters of the third kind with some sort of a being from another place. Whatever it is, it's just not a human being, and it seems to be technologically at least superior to us.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to be one thing they all seem to share is they seem to be able to communicate telekinetically or telepathically.
Yeah, and I mean, they aren't human, but they are very human too. So for instance, like that's one of the main reasons I started exploring this. I was actually kind of put into this when I was 8 or 9 years old, sort of activated in a way and put on this path by a weird thing that happened to me when I was a kid.
What happened to you?
Well, so I talk about it in my first 2 books, Identified Flying Objects and the Extraterrestrial Model, where I learned about a close encounter that my dad had. He was a veterinarian in Northeast Ohio where I grew up. And he was out one night on a call with another guy. So there's 2 people. As far as Jalen Hynek's reliability scale, has more reliability because there's multiple witnesses. It's also strange on his scale because they crested the hill. There's a bright light. This is an Amish country. There's no lights in Amish country. And all of a sudden, this bright light darts toward them, hovers just above their truck, darts back to where it was, and straight up into space, like at incredible speed. So this happened before I was born, but I overheard him telling the story to some friends one night. He got Whitley Strieber's book Communion, as most people did in the 1980s, and as they should, because it's a great book. And I walked into the living room. The book is sitting on the shelf facing out. And I remember, like it was yesterday, I sort of stopped, and there was like this light, like a white light. And then I saw this image in my mind of like an early hominin, chimpanzee-like creature, a modern human, and then that archetypal gray alien from the cover with this information. What if they're related? What if they are us from the future? And obviously, I mean, that's why I became a biological anthropologist. People are always like,
so you saw this?
Yeah. It was like a flash, like a light. And, it's weird looking back on it because I know a lot more about these experiences. I've talked to people that have had these types of experiences.
What was the setting?
It was our living room. So it was like you come in the front door and just to the left there's this living room, built-in bookshelf, Whitley's books right there. I just turned the corner, saw it, and then like just kind of it just came. Like I didn't know shit about evolutionary biology.
When
I
you
didn't
say
know
you
about
saw
UFOs.
it, like you saw it how?
In my mind. Just this white light.
Just an image.
And that image of the 3 faces, and then the question, could they be us from the future? And a lot of people are like, how'd you get into UFOs? Like, you're a biological anthropologist. It's the opposite. I got into biological anthropology to research this question of whether they could be us from the future.
Huh. So this you felt like at that moment it wasn't just like a weird thought or a dream. It felt like a message. Like, what did it feel like?
Yeah. It was a tasking. I think Rupert Sheldrake said it that people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. I think that was like hey, go do this thing. And I did. That's why we're here now, talking about it. And obviously, you know, you got to be careful about like selection bias and confirmation bias. Like I didn't go into this. I didn't go into grad school. I also didn't tell anybody in grad school I was there because they would have kicked me out. But I went into it with an open mind, but I was there to study these things because of that event when I was 8 years old.
Wow. Yeah, it is a problem, the confirmation bias. It is a problem with wanting it to be real. And I struggle with that because I desperately want it to be real. And so every time I talk to someone, you know, I've talked to a bunch of people that are, you know, air quote, whistleblowers. And some of them, I think, for sure, have been sent in here to distribute disinformation.
Yeah, no doubt.
For sure, because it's a great place to do it.
Yeah.
I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
I'll entertain almost anything.
Which is great. We need that.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I mean, obviously there's people that are going to take advantage of it.
But
too.
I think it's also important for me to say I'm not convinced. I don't know how much of this is horseshit, but it's not zero.